Hello there, fellow bow hunters. 20th day of October, fairly windy out. As you can see in the background, a lot of the leaves have dropped off the trees, moving right along with fall getting here. Now there's always a debate about when do you hunt, when's the rut, on and on and on. And it depends on who you talk to, what time it is. Now, the first week of October, if you patterned a buck and he's coming to a alfalfa field or clover field or something like that, you might go for that, and you might be fortunate enough to harvest it there in October. But as October wears on, if you put a whole lot of energy into that, you'll likely come up short. Now, that's not to say some of the biggest bucks in the state of Iowa haven't been killed in October. I'm just saying on a general, vast scope of things, October, it's fun to be out there, I reckon. The leaves are raining leaves some mornings, just as they're falling off, and it's really pretty. But you'd probably be better off to spend more squirrel hunting at that time and really enjoying it, other than sitting there waiting for the buck that's off in a distant cornfield bedded down. But people being people, they get the urge, and so they go to their stand and they grunt and they rattle and they do everything they can because they're completely been pent up for a year. So when they get out, they get real aggressive with everything, and that aggression burns off, and that's sad, because the timing is everything. Now, over the past, over 3 decades of daily diaries here, if you don't have one, and you haven't started one, 35 years of calendars in there. And November, hands down, is the time to be in the woods. I used to hunt Octobers, and I'd burn up a lot of gas, and that's when it was like $1.50 and $1.80. I thought that was high price, but now with the kind of gas money, you know, you're better off to save that gas and that mileage on your vehicle for when the time it is. Now, as you go down through, you'll start getting patterns. November 6th, 2013, shot and missed a buck, 9:58. November 12th, 2006, 10 o'clock, missed a buck of a lifetime. There's back to back. Some days, you know, as you go down through, you'll see on the 5th, a good friend of mine killed his first deer on the 5th of November. I had a 228 incher, some gentleman that I scored killed on the 3rd, 151 on the 6th, 189 killed on the 9th. That's all in November. And if you write all this down, you'll get to see a pattern, and you'll have knowledge of when to go to the field. But the basic chase phase, when everybody sees one hot doe and might see 20 bucks that day, and the next day they won't see nothing sitting in the same stand, that doesn't happen until the second full moon after the fall equinox. That's the first day of fall. So you had the first full moon fell in the first week of this month, October. So the second full moon is going to be the first of this October. So it's going to be an early rut, and going to be a chilly rut. Temperatures are taking a dip, which is going to be good. That doesn't necessarily mean the deer are going to move anymore. It just means that you feel more apt to get out of bed at 4:30 or 5 and get into your deer woods. But keeping these records really are a must for any trophy hunter, or just, you can go back through here and like I say, there's over 3 decades of knowledge here that you wrote down: the wind direction, the temperature, whether it's raining out or whatever, whether you hunted or whether you didn't hunt, what stand you hunted for that given wind, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you can compile your own daily diary, and you'll be a lot smarter because you won't get down in the dumps. You'll say, you hear people, especially with this Facebook thing now, social media, you know, they're all, everybody in the world seems like if you turn that on, it's killing a deer, but you. And if you have your daily records, you can lay there in bed and go over them and say, well, here's what happened last year at this day with this wind, this temperature. And, you know, it's going to fluctuate, but a lot of times it's going to stay the same. But you won't have that unless you have a strong foundation, and that's what you need here. I can take you as far back. Here's 1982. That was, I killed a buck on, it was on a Saturday, it was 30 degrees, and I shot it at 8 yards at 8:15 with the northwest wind. It just, unprecedented. I can go down through here, as 1990, whoa, on the 18th, Deb and myself, we both killed deer. That was the only time we've ever done that. It was 20 degrees with a southwest wind. It was just perfect, and it just on and on of literature or memorable things that you can write down, and you'll remember it. And you remember when a friend of yours shot a deer, and it just here's where Tom shot a deer, a big deer. We didn't find it. That was on the 16th of November. And you know, you just have so much more knowledge. And this was, matter of fact, this is 1994. This was funny. I hunted in November 249 hours, and in October I hunted 50 hours, and that was a total of 299 hours. And guess what? Now a lot of people would be burnt out at that time. On November 30th, 18 degrees low, 49 degrees high, southwest wind, dust of light snow, killed a big buck, 13-point buck, scored 159 inch at 7:30 a.m. on the 30th of November. And that's 1994. That's after 299 hours. So, I mean, and that's just randomly. I can go through here, 1999 yeah, 1999, the year after I had cancer. I shot a big buck at 8:10. So there again, it was a southeast wind. 61 with the high, 39 with the low. 8:10 in the morning. Okay, a big oak tree. I knew which, you know, what stand it was in. If you don't have a personal diary, get one started. Another thing you need to watch is your lunar, your lunar tables. I probably screwed that up. Lunar tables is what I'm trying to say. You go down through here, and you'll notice some days are really high in the afternoon. If that's the day you can get off of work and go that day, and if the prime time movement, what do we got here? Today has been Tuesday, the 28th. They're calling Tuesday, 4:37 p.m. to 5:49 p.m. Those are, you know, probably pretty good times. Now that's going to fit into a lot of people's time slot with daylight savings time. That's going to go off this Sunday. So you really want to watch them and see how they correspond with what you see in the field. Sometimes you'll be totally surprised. That way, if you get a good 2 o'clock one's prime time, that's going to keep you in the woods. That'll be your incentive to keep you in the woods. If you got to use super glue to put on your butt to stick you through the stand that long, so it be. But it seems to me that more people want to run out and hunt for a few hours and run back to their local pro shop or get on Facebook and say, I had a miserable day, and how that part of the day that they should be in the woods is the day that they're out pouting, I guess, or, you know. But it'll tell you which days to stay in the woods. Personal diary. Okay, I have over 30 stand sites placed. People go, well, what do you got so many there? Well, you know, you got the north, south, west, east winds. Then you put the southeast into them. And so that's going to be, you got eight different winds that you're going to be hunting. So you better have 8 different locales. And when you do set up a stand, make sure when you set a stand up, that every stand you set up, not one is any better than the other for that given wind. Don't get lulled into, oh, I got this stand, I like it because of its more user-friendly. Make every stand you put up user-friendly. That way, when you go to that stand, you're on total confidence. And what's going to direct you to that stand? This little radio right here, the weather radio. When you get out of your stand at evening, you get that turned on. That's going to tell you tomorrow's direction of the wind. Now you're going to contemplate which one of those 30 stands you're going to go sit in, because each one's going to have a different wind value. So that way you know you're going to have the best odds in your favor because you've set stands up. I know a lot of guys that hunt the same stand over and over and over and over again, and each time they go there, they keep getting less and less deer sightings. Just make sure you have plenty of different stands so that when you hunt, I don't care what you got on or what technology you're wearing in the field, you can't beat Mother Nature. You can beat her, you can put this ozonics thing up and try to cheat, and if that's ethical, then you shouldn't be watching my videos anyway, because that's a bunch of bullshit as far as I'm concerned. Whenever you take a disadvantage from a wild animal by using technology, and still call that fair chase? Not in my book. But anyhow, use the wind and play that wind really hard, and that's why you need so many stands. And like I say, this little radio is going to tell me the next morning where I'm going to go. And talking to that, you're going to have stand placements. Some are going to be totally evening stands. Some are going to be totally morning stands. Some are going to be all-day stands. And those all-day stands are the best stands to choose. You're going to get into the bowels of your timber, and you're going to stay there all day long. Wow, that sounds like a long time, don't it? Not really. You're supposed to have. You should be having fun every second of that sit, because you don't know when that buck of a lifetime is going to come by. Thank God, because if they ever get it to where you can say, "Well, it's this time. I'm going to go shoot Mr. Big," I don't want to be a part of that crowd. That crowd turns me off faster than a light switch. From light to dark. Anyhow, don't go there. Just go and enjoy the day. And like I say, set it up for morning, set it up for evening. Now, evening stands, you got to remember, you got to be able to get out of your stand at evening without molesting the deer. If you're hunting a field, you can't walk out in that field. You can walk into there, you can get into that stand through that field, but you're going to have an escape route to get out so you don't keep boogering that area, because after a while those deer won't show up until way after dark. Morning, you should have a pretty good route too. You know, you should figure a good morning stand. You want your deer to probably be at least 2 hours away from you. That sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Well, that's not really a whole lot. If you get in there at 6:30 and get set up by 8:30, the temperatures are rising, the thermals are rising, pulling all your scent up. You know, everything's working in your favor, and that deer can come that far. You know, if he gets to chasing does or he's eating in a far cornfield, you don't want the deer to be that close to you. So a 2-hour wait before you see your first deer, that's perfect. That's why you got to be mature to be a bow hunter. You're not going to see it at first light. I don't want to see it. I don't want it under my stand right when I get there, because if I booger it up, he's gone for the day. So I expect a long wait. 10 o'clock down there in southern Iowa is really prime time. I've seen more deer move at 10 o'clock in the morning in southern Iowa than anywhere else. And each wood's going to have a different movement time. Depends how big it is and how far the food source and whatever. We're here in the woods putting these stands up today. Like I said, it's October 28th. We're planning on doing a lot of hunting in November. And I told you the reasons why. Okay, you can see in the background, there's one stand there, which the camera is right on where I'm going to shoot, try to set up my shot. It's right on there's a big dead log here, and it's going to funnel them right down here, all the way down to that scrape that's Alice's restaurant. There's a huge cornfield to the northeast. They're going to feed in that cornfield. They'll come across a big open pasture up into this timber. There's a rub line right there. You can see right where they've been rubbing. And they're going to come right up through here and that get on that ridge, and it goes for miles. Now, this is my northwest-west stand. That'll be the northwest-west stand. The wind's blowing in my face. Right here's the trail. I'm going to pan over here real close right now. And we'll just come right over here. And you should be able to see, that stand right there. It's in the south. Now that would be for southwest, southerly wind. They're still going to come up here. So that's what you have to do when you do this. 2 stands per set. Okay, this is the 28th day of October. We're getting really close to prime time now. That scrape's been worked up really good. As I pan around here, I got a stand back in there probably, I don't know. Oh, you can see, just barely see it back there, right at the end of my finger there. If you right to the base of my finger, you can see that aluminum lone wolf stand in there. So what is really putting up the temperature now? That was just probably work this morning, the way these leaves have rolled. So we'll get on down here. This will be the final time that we scout this, make sure it's working. And I can see a lot of fresh rubs in here. So there's definitely something. Just going over briefly, stand placement. Make sure you got enough stands out for all the winds. Make sure you can get in and out. Hunt your bottlenecks, hunt your travel corridors. Your rub lines in November, they're okay, but they sort of lose a little bit of the value, because if that buck runs into a hot doe or she's coming in the cycle, you can forget about any travel patterns. They're just going to be helter-skelter. And as far as, there again, with being downwind, a lot of times when they're chasing around and around and around your tree stand, you can only hope for the best, that they got their interest more on what's in front of them than what's up above them. And because it's really hard to get downwind sometimes in a big timber because of the chasing factor. Anyhow, I'm going pretty fast, but what I really want you to get out of this video is November is the time to go. The rut really gets in when the does go into estrus is the length of daylight. Doesn't have to be bright light, but when you come into the 6th and 7th of November this year, it's going to be a full moon right at it. It's going to be tremendous. I wish I had a calendar, my 14 calendar. That light is what cycles those does into heat, and they're ready to rock and roll. So there'll be a lot of chasing early. Now, last year it was later because it was the full moon later in the middle. Remember, it's the second full moon after the fall equinox. Anyhow, that's about it. I got to get out and get some stands put up. But I hope that really answered some questions on what stand do I go to. Make sure that every stand you put up, and you do that hard work, that your mindset is that you can kill the biggest deer in your area out of that stand on a given set. That way you won't be wondering, going, oh, I wish I was up on ridge number 1 or ridge number 2 or whatever, and this stand doesn't quite fit my setup. Make every stand perfect for that morning, so that you have no objection, nothing hidden in your mind why you don't want to go there. It should gravitate you right to that stand. As soon as you hear that weather report, you say, I know right where I'm going, and I really feel good about it. Because if you don't feel good about it, and if the stand's not comfortable, you're probably not going to sit it long enough to have it pay off for you. So that's it from the non-typical Norwalkian. November is here on Saturday. This is the 28th. We got the 29th, 30th, 31st. 3-4 days now, and November is here. That's the month everybody's been waiting for. And like I say, not necessarily that you're going to kill the biggest buck in November, but that's when you're going to have the best chances. And you'll find that most of the corn's out on a normal year. So, well, that's it.